Hello, Instagram family. I just had a spontaneous feeling to do another one of my videos and to talk to the current split and rupture that's taking place and how this is really a reflection of our own inner worlds that are being called for union. And it was inspired by some witchy diggings into understanding the past, feminism. I've been doing a lot of research, and particularly on the witch hunts and what those were all about and why we felt so afraid of witches and spiritual power and magic and healing from this intuitive and wise and very earthly place, very feminine place. So currently, I know we've all been feeling this sense of confusion, inner conflict, constantly having to question our truth. I know for myself, I keep wavering. I'm like, do I want to get this thing? Do I not? I have so many loved ones who think so differently to me. One moment I read something and I'm very pulled towards that belief, the other time I'm pulled to another. So there's this real internal battle that's happening outside, but it's also happening within us. And ultimately it is this intellect, this mind, this scientific, this rational, logical, sensical part of ourselves, the masculine, you could call it, that wants to know, that needs facts, that needs evidence, that we can all relate to and connect to. And then when we dive deeper, there's this belly, womb, intuitive, feminine, inner knowing. And it's such a deep knowing that it doesn't matter if there's no evidence to support that knowing. The knowing is innate. It's complete within you. And it's completely unique to you, unique to the individual who's feeling that intuition. It's your inner intuition. So in my intuitive intuition, I know that something's up, something doesn't feel good, something is not right. It's denying this inner knowledge. It's not wanting to listen to the intuition. The world has been very science and masculine oriented. It wants to listen to the experts, to those that can prove things by mind and intellect and fact. And those wild witches are quacks. They don't have evidence. They can't prove to us what it is they're sensing. And yet that intuitive sense is so wise and so true and so desperately needed in our world today because of the disharmony, because of the imbalance. So, the witch hunts was this attack on that intuition, on that sort of spiritual wisdom and power and healing ability that the majority were women had. And medicine and science started to make its mark, and religion, and in order to suppress that knowledge that was misunderstood, I do believe it was an ignorant fear that caused that attack, conscious attack, brutal attack, trauma that women still today come to me and say they can feel the repressed ancestral memory of the witch hunts, of the choking, the inability to speak their truth, especially now. It's like we are literally reliving a witch hunt where if you step outside of the scientific or logical way and you start listening to your earthly, deep embodied intuition, you are seen as an outsider or as a conspiracy theorist. You're not sound, you're crazy. And I've certainly been going through that. And what I'm learning to acknowledge and have compassionate for is the genuine fear and ignorance of the other side that only attacks because it doesn't understand. And to have a sense of peace and understanding that I too may not understand the intellectual side, because maybe my internal split was deeply intuitive but not necessarily research based. And I can't deny the science. I can't deny my mind. I can't deny the yearning to also have fact and answers and clarity. So I'm not saying that one or the other are better. And I think that's the key point that I want to get through today, is that we have to stop fighting each other and fighting our internal battle of mind or gut or heart or mind, and realize that the two are, this is all happening for us to sort of bring them together and find where they meet. Because inside of all of us, there's the witch, but there's also the witch hunter. You know, there's the abused and there's the abuser. We only experience things to know both sides, and our lifetimes upon lifetimes have been in different roles. And if we really are in a collective union consciousness, all one, we're all related, we all have energy and vibration, we all like linking up all the time, then if I am judging and pointing fingers at the other side and consistently trying to suppress their story or their version, I'm really just denying and suppressing it within me. And that is causing extreme pain, extreme confusion, extreme isolation. And it's really taking a lot for me to say this, because I love the fight. I'm a warrior. I'm an activist. I thrive off that fire. I'm an Aries fire being. So my natural instinct, intuition, is to fight for that truth, to fight for that deep knowing. And as I'm tuning in, as I'm observing, as I'm listening to the other side, I remember when I was living in the States, in New York, and I was there during the elections when Trump got elected. And it was just this massive divide that happened, and nobody wanted to talk to the other side. It was like, you're red, you're blue, you're right, you're left. It was like there was no conversation happening. And I actually ended up staying with a family in, it was like Long Island or something, and they were very super conservative, super by the Constitution. The daughter had the Constitution printed in her bedroom. She would recite it to us. She was hectically conservative and red. And I remember just being so fascinated by the conversations and the reasoning for their vote and for their beliefs, and coming to this place of awe actually at how real and true it was for them in their experience and their perspective, and to be able to just be that observer and listener and space holder and try desperately inside of my own being to not judge or separate or try to point at what was right or wrong. We all have our own versions of that. And yeah, I feel like I'm coming to this maturity in myself around not desiring to keep being aggressive to others, but rather continuing to dive deep into my own ruptured places, my own traumatized places, what this wound, this external stuff is bringing up inside of me, which is the wound of betrayal, it's the wound of abuse, it's the wound of not having sovereignty over my body. And so of course I'm going to fight anybody or anything that tries to rob me yet again of that sovereignty. And that's why I will stand my ground when it comes to the protection and preservation of my beautiful vessel, which is a temple, which is the embodiment of nature. And that is not to say that I don't believe in other people's opinions and their scientific explorations and studies. And yeah, it's just a matter of, if I can see you, then I ask that you see me, and that you have compassion for the many people that feel under attack and feel ostracized and feel isolated and afraid to use their voices, and in that fear of speaking, literally cutting themselves from their gut, from their intuition. And whilst it's great to have the mind and structure and all those things, that feminine, that gentleness, that surrender, that trust, that deep knowing of self is the ultimate freedom, the ultimate empowerment. So if we are denying people that right, if we are shaming them for wanting to listen to their own wisdom rather than somebody else's expertise, then that's cruel and that's dangerous. And that's how we become very disempowered, and how we become very sort of beholden and enslaved by something outside of ourselves. And we don't know if that entity outside of ourselves, that corporation, that leadership, is sound. Do they really have our best interests? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Yes, there's great work going on, but when we start to dig, what's the agenda? What's the reasoning? If it's really for health, wonderful. I pray and hope as much. But yeah, I think because there's been such a hunt against the witches and the intuitive space and the natural healing and the deep inner knowing of our body's ability to heal itself, and wisdom, and also the natural world. I keep saying, like, viruses have been around forever. We are having a disruption in an extreme case because we're in an extreme environment of disharmony. We are separating ourselves from the natural world, and in that separation we've become so vulnerable to attack. You know, the more we isolate, the more we sanitize, the more we clean ourselves and wipe away our nature, we will then be under attack by that very nature. So it's kind of like, how do we want to approach this? Do we want to spend our lives hiding outside, hiding away from each other? Or do we want to maybe invite a bit of that wisdom, a bit of that wise woman that lives within all of us back into the room, back onto the table, back into the hospital, the science spaces? You know, can she also have a stand? Can she also have a say? Can we not shame and judge her, or just let her be? Maybe let her do her thing and not prevent her from being free. So yeah, it's deep. It's emotional. I feel so much grief. And I know a lot of you are also feeling so much grief and so much rage and so much confusion and not knowing how or where to speak or what to say. So I'm just going to keep doing these videos and sharing what I've come to, and know that the only thing that we can do is to listen and to observe and to trust and be clear on our mission. Be clear on how we are either repairing the wound or further adding salt and decision, pain into it. Are we cutting it deeper, or are we repairing? And only you know that. And your role is important. How you bring love into this planet, how you bring healing, what you say with your words, how you think, how you speak of other people, what you share. It all has an effect. And yeah, let's be wise. wise and kind. So that's me. Have a beautiful day.